Hey everybody, this is Jamie the D. Welcome back to the second half of the Phantom Mode first person and the ChiRex, which gave me a lot of trouble. I believe it was 12 restarts, because despite its great shields, its higher its higher turning radius and inertia and indeed velocity generally leads to a much higher proportion of heavier impacts. So in the end it all kinds of balances out. And funnily enough, the one part of the track I don't have that many problems with is the one turn that everyone else complains about. Oh dear. No, instead I screw up the simpler chicanes. Yeah, autopilot definitely coming into its own here. Although, as you can see, sometimes it can leave you at a slightly awkward angle. And of course, I actually had to nose down there because one of the other things of Phantom Mode is, of course, that physics fun times are more prevalent, including silly jumps. We'll be seeing some silly jumps this video. And we'll also be seeing a couple more of those, you know, collision out of bounds problems. But that's okay, that's the price for increased fun. And of course, this is one of the first tracks where you really realise how quickly you have to react. Now this segment, not so bad. It's just air brake in, air brake, and by the way, I don't really call that trouble. That was just me forgetting the final lap again. So right air brake, left air brake, fuck, didn't quite make it. Left air brake, right air brake, little right air brake, heavy right air brake. And completely derping out about the autopilot there. I fat-fingered the get rid of item key. But hey, I was relatively comfortable on shields, you know, relatively. Still not sure what to think about that maroon colouring. I mean, on the one hand, the ChiRex is still a sharp and beefy ship. It's still in character, but at the same time, I think they were kind of going for blood, but they went a shade too light. It doesn't matter. Either way, autopilot, without autopilot and without specifically hunting for autopilots and shields, I don't think I would have gotten through these. I'm going to be honest, as I've said before, I am not a pro Wipeout player. And, which craft I had the most trouble with will definitely not surprise you. But which craft I had the least trouble with? Now that will surprise. That will definitely surprise. Still, this track is relatively benign. I mean, you know, only about 6 or 9 attempts. Actually, did I say more than that? I can't remember. But the ChiRex, in a way, is the most heartbreaking to fuck up on. When you explode on a ChiRex, nearly always it's lap 3 rather than lap 2, or lap 4 rather than lap 3. And of course that means, oh god, you're almost there. Now you gotta do it again, and... Oh wait, no, don't miss that corner, don't pinball, and of course the stress mounts up. Props to people who actually practice these tracks, you know, rigorously and, you know, get used to them. I don't think I could handle it, to be honest. Definitely not pro Wipeout player material. Yes, the AGS. The AGS at 15 attempts was definitely the worst.
3, 2, 1.
And part of this was all my skill with dealing with false chicanes completely goes away in first-person mode. Another very important part of that is the cockpit design, or lack thereof. It's basically like a helmet visor, except that means I have no side guidelines as to what a side collision's gonna look like, or at least none that I'm going to be seeing regularly. If you imagine this led to problems, you would be 100% correct. And of course, we mustn't forget the final part of the trifecta of why the AGS is terrible in Phantom. It, of course, has the second weakest shields in the game. Second or third. Either way, it's made of tissue paper, and I'm really, really glad I went with the strategy of concentrate on racing, because you know you're faster than everyone else. Get those autopilots. Get those goddamn shields, because your biggest enemy here is the walls. So, quick chicane, you air brake. Yeah, pretty quickly. I always seem to forget that corner, though. And, yeah, I'm not even... Interestingly, the autopilot goes through it as if it's a genuine chicane, rather than a false one. I don't know, maybe I just found a really good line through it in not first-person mode. But you can guarantee that I do not have a good line in first-person mode. I hate first-person mode in general. I just like Wipeout 3's more than anyone else. So, yeah, I've realised there's still 2 laps to go. Pinballing like crazy. And of course, keep in mind that I'm doing all of this on keyboard, so I am doing bloody well, actually. For someone who hasn't practiced in a month, and
Autopilot engaged.
is generally bad at first-person mode in general. This is doing alright. I know it doesn't look like it's doing alright, but it's doing a damn sight better than the other 15 attempts. Oh dear. Of course, when you're in first place, and you're so far in first place, because in Phantom mode, due to the fact that the AI do fight each other, you will get far ahead when you're in first place. Of course, if you're near the back of the pack by lap 4, you're not going to win. So once again, I did the same thing of slowing down, having an autopilot and going, ah, yes, the race is mine now. Oh, thank God that's over. I don't like that time, I don't like the AGS, and
3, 2, 1, go!
to be fair, I don't like thrust control either. I'm pretty bad at thrust control, which will make many a later track in the series very entertaining. Although probably more for you, who gets to see the successful result, than for me, who gets to fail about 12 or 15 times. By the way, it is possible to go out of bounds on the upper area, or at least I'm pretty sure it is. They were better about it. It's now much, much, much harder, but it is in fact possible. And when that happens, oh my god, it takes bloody ages.
Warning, disengaging. Engaged.
So yeah, look at that. I avoided most of that chicane with a single jump, and that is the fun of jump physics. Of course, the downside is that you can easily go out of bounds if you do a phantom nose-up jump on that ramp. You can not only easily go out of bounds, you can easily lose about 20 or 30 shields from smacking into the wall at your incredibly increased velocity. So don't do as I say, not as I do, in the case of this particular track. PMAR Project is, as Charlie Hellfire WZ Emery notes, a subtle bastard, and thrust control is very important. And of course, Curly's given us the thumbs up, which is very nice. We're actually going to be seeing more of Curly, and a little bit of audio desync there. I don't know quite where that came in.
Engaged.
But that's fine, it's not terribly important, and of course in replay mode it doesn't seem to play the music, whereas in main mode it does. I'm going to preserve that because basically this is about as close to the authentic Wipeout experience you're going to get without a PS1 and a copy of Wipeout 3 Special Edition. The silence, the interesting audio reverb. The pinballing. Yes, it's a good life in the AGS piloting core. Don't let those filthy health insurance salesmen tell you otherwise.
Engaged.
Oh, look at that. That was so close. And I didn't engage the autopilot until after I landed. Oh, wait, no, I did. Never mind.
Energy drain.
That's the audio desync. So, under the influence, we're hitting my favorite track with my favorite craft. And this still took me about 7 attempts. As denoted by that rather sudden cut. Go! So, this first turn is pretty easy. And I don't know why I kept tripping up on that turn, and indeed that one. I do eventually get the hang of things. But this one's all about building up a rhythm. You start to get a feel for it. You get the rhythm. And remember, in Phantom mode, pit stops aren't just important. If you're even halfway average, they're mandatory. And yeah, waste an autopilot, because the best place to trigger an autopilot is right here. That way, you get a nice, relaxing view, and yeah. You get to take advantage of Phantom's increased speed to save yourself a little bit of time. Now, another important tip for Phantom is, if you got an autopilot and you're way ahead of everybody, save it. For God's sake, save it. You will need it. Even if you don't think you need it, it will relax you. It will give you a chance to loosen your sphincter, pry your fingers off the keyboard for just a few seconds to rest them. And basically stop you from becoming a nervous wreck. And yes, I just shamelessly took advantage of autopilot. And yes, remember how I said it was difficult to go out of bounds? That's less true for Phantom mode. Oh yes, it's less true. After all, you can turn pretty widely on the more maneuverable craft, and you can seriously miss the track if you set your mind to it, or even, in that particular case, the autopilot sets you at a rather awkward angle. And there we go. We're done with less than 50% shields, but certainly better than the none in the first lap that I had on at least one run of each of these 4 tracks. I'm gonna have nightmares about that for the rest of the day now. Or would they be daymares? Well, doesn't matter. What matters is, it's over. The scars will never heal. And then I'll go do it again for funsies. Never mind, you've had a minute. That's, of course, the other part of Phantom mode, since everything's going by so quickly and you're hitting those boost pads and weapon pads so much more often, you get the announcer just in this cacophony of disengaging, weapon, weapon, you used a weapon, oh by the way, there's someone behind you, by the way, oh fuck, wait, you're low on shields, did you know you're low on shields, you've got a weapon, oh wait, you're dead. Oh, I wish the camera had caught that, because that was a sweet jump. I mean, it's always nice to see that from below. But yeah, the camera change has become a lot more disorienting in the replay mode of Phantom. And in a way, I guess it still works. There we go. To be fair, those rescue craft are quite nippy. I mean, you know, we're moving at upwards of 900 miles an hour, and that thing just kind of swoops in, lifts us up in whatever gravity shenanigans it's engaging in, and just plucks us back onto the track with next to no problem. That's skill. So, in case you hadn't guessed, the shock is that terminal with the Icarus on Phantom mode, I really didn't want to do this. I really didn't want to do the Icarus in general, but 2 attempts.
3, 2, 1, go!
Admittedly, the winning attempt is much like the Piranha, its cousin in worse shieldness. Not my proudest moment. It also involves a hell of a lot of air brake abuse and a hell of a motion sickness warning. But what I think helped immensely was how accessible that pit stop is. I mean, theoretically, if it weren't for the slight slowdown when you enter a pit stop, that would actually be the best. Yeah, that would actually be a better route. If it weren't for my fumble-fingeredness, you know, it'd be a very slight adjustment and then a short air brake turn, which really isn't going to lose you speed worth anything on an Icarus. There we go. Like I said, I am definitely not proud of this pinball-y run. Deliberately slowed down there so I could pick up as much shield as much shield energy as humanly possible, because as you can see, I'm becoming increasingly chaotic and panicky, which is a common side effect of playing Phantom mode. In fact, one might say it's a common symptom of playing Phantom mode. Yeah, 16 energy. So I decide, you know what, I'm just gonna victory lap this. I'm still gonna hit walls, but I'm gonna victory lap this. And of course, hit the all important point, hit the autopilot. Feel a sense of gratitude for an autopilot that works. And, you ready? We have won! What do we get?
You've won Wipeout C-League. Curly says, well done. You've won Wipeout C-League.
Okay, that was the thing. By the way, it cuts out that way naturally. I didn't have to push any buttons whatsoever. So, yeah, that's your winning cutscene for beating everything in Wipeout 3. I hope you enjoyed it. So, I'm going to leave you with things that I don't wish to see. As I said, I'm not particularly proud of this this run. So I shall see you for the cheats video, and then for the prototypes. This has been Jamie the D. This has been Wipeout 3, Main League. See you around.
Engaged. Disengaging. One. Missile. Shield. Engaged. Wait. Disengaging. Engaged. Disengaging. Cloak. Engaged. Missile engaging. Shield. Engaged. Disengaging.